Okay.
All right, I guess we're starting. So we are back. It is another Sunday evening. Everybody's here. Sunday. So Adam's on online. Can we hear you, Adam?
Absolutely.
All right. So welcome to Attic Static. It is time to get started. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Phone number is 386-956-0754 if you want to call in with questions. So I'm Ray.
I'm Adam.
I'm Gary.
I'm Johnny.
And I'm Ed.
I'm too far away.
Gary's a little too far away. Adam is a little hard to hear.
He's very far away.
He's very far away in
I'll
Boston.
talk louder.
Okay.
How's this?
You sound good.
You sound
Adam,
good.
don't
All
worry.
right.
That's going to last about 5 minutes before he can't talk anymore. We are back. It's been a while. We met, I think, 2 weeks ago, right? Ed wasn't here. Today, Adam's not here. So we're going to get started here by just doing a catch-up with everybody and see what Ed's been doing since we missed you last
But
time.
Ray, are we eventually going to talk about guns today?
That
I'm
I wanna
down
talk
for that.
About guns.
I'm down
All
for
right.
that.
But first, I do want to hear what Ed's been up to. I apologize.
All right, wait, before we do that, I just brought a few snacks for the guys.
Oh.
I know Gary's going to want that.
I've been trying to cut back. But
Yeah,
yes, thank you.
But it's chocolate and gummy bears are Ed's
Yes,
thing,
I
right?
definitely have a preference for those, no doubt about it.
You don't find them too hard?
You know what it is? These are pretty good. There's a brand that we found recently called Albanese. It comes in this white package, and they are just so soft. And when you open it up, all that fruity smell just kind of wafts in your face. And I'm like, oh my god, I got to devour this whole bag. It's deadly, you know. They're very good, but I always tell my kids and my wife, I said, don't buy it. Because if you buy it and we have it in this house, I'm going to eat it.
Okay, so you bring up a good point, right? Because we've had this argument, Way and I, right? So she complains when I eat all the snack food and the junk food, and I say, don't buy it. And she says, well, don't eat it. And I'm like, well, if it wasn't in the house,
Right.
I wouldn't eat it.
I agree.
Right.
It's like, this is not a me problem, right?
Like,
Oh,
I'm
not
not
at all.
opening that. Like, you threw it over here, I'm not opening that. But if someone opens that, I'm going to scarf that whole thing down.
Lack of discipline. Lack of discipline.
I just
all
want
the way
people to be
around.
happy in my house. I'm going to open this. If that makes you happy, I'm opening it.
But you know what it is, Adam? You brought up a good point. You bring up a great point, and that is, discipline is very important. And we talked about that a lot of times. But at the
Let's be
same
honest
time,
here. You don't have to be disciplined in everything.
right. But at the same time, and that's a great point, Gary.
They're hard.
Right. There's this great a comedy show, right? It was a sitcom called Parks and Rec. And once a year, the two characters would have this day called Treat Yourself. And they basically would just do whatever they wanted. It was Tom Haverford and Don. I don't know if you guys have seen that show.
No.
But it was a great show. And
Seen
then,
it.
you seen it? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about? And it was great. They would just go
Yes.
out and they'd have like fancy dinners and buy themselves extravagant outfits and extravagant gifts. And just once a day, or I'm sorry, once a year, they'd have that day called Treat Yourself. So
Nice.
now that
I
that's
think you
cracked
should
open,
treat yourself every day.
I was going to say, sounds like my life, you know?
so
That's the life you could have
gonna
without
treat
kids.
myself.
All right, so Johnny opened the bag, and Ed is officially eating them.
Can't stop now, man.
No discipline.
Yeah.
Ed, the most disciplined guy in the room, has no discipline. For
I
gummy
have
bears.
disciplined myself to decide that I'm going to treat myself.
Johnny, you are corrupting wholesome Ed. I just ran off the road. I'm in a ditch. Hey Siri, call the ambulance.
That's my job.
Awesome. All right, Ed, sorry for the distraction, but go for it.
So by
problem.
the end of this, Ed is going to be a junk food eating, gun toting, redneck or something.
Because I have a lot of cavities if we keep up this licorice candy because I'm
Yeah.
not going to resist.
Yep. Nice.
So I made a list because I wasn't sure if we were still going to do catch-up stuff or not. I know I missed it 2 weeks ago. So I'll rattle off the list, and when I'm done, if you guys want, you can each pick one. Because it's kind of a long list. So
You can tell us what the things are.
Yeah, the things are. Yeah, it's a long
All right.
list. I'm just going to rattle them down, bullet points, and then...
We're just gonna
and
interrupt you.
Yeah, you guys can do that too.
Yeah.
If you hit one that you think is interesting.
Yep.
All right. So what do I got here? I've been teaching 3 college courses this semester in the middle of that. We started the afternoon school tutoring volunteer program. That started back up recently. Trip to
Wait,
Cape...
is that through your college too?
No, that is not through the college. That's a community group.
Okay.
keep going, or want me to go into that one?
No.
Keep going.
Okay. You got it. You got it. Trip to Cape Cod. Let's see. We had hosted some family visiting from overseas. Let's see. We have a new board game that we've got extremely great use out of. I think we've been playing every weekend since we bought it about 4 weeks ago. I tried a new game today.
What's the game?
It's called Camel Up.
Oh, it's not. It's new in your house.
You and our house, yeah.
Got it. All right.
And I actually tried, this is kind of a positive and a negative. I tried a new game today that my son is into. It's a new miniatures game. Well, it's not a new miniatures game for me. It's a new miniatures game. It's a very cool game.
What is it?
Very exciting. It's called Warhammer 40K. The specific subdivision of that we played is called Kill Team. It was a very cool game. The only thing I didn't like about it, and my son told me, years ago, I had this idea for this tank game that's based on this old video game in the arcade called Assault and an old board game called Stratego. And I had all these ideas of how I wanted to do it. And my son said, Dad, he goes, your game already exists. I'm like, it does? And so we played that game today. And as I was playing, I was like, oh my God, this is exactly what I wanted to do.
Someone stole your idea.
Someone already made it.
Is it a new game or is it?
No, it's not. No, it's been around for a while. It's been around for a while. This is just a different version. But apparently, what my child had explained to me is that it's become more popular than the original. The original was based in the fantasy world, and so this newer version is more of a space version. And so the space version has taken off in popularity. And so that's now the default when people talk about Warhammer. Apparently, this is the default.
So it's a
one,
miniature
40K.
game, tabletop,
Miniatures.
little pieces.
Yeah, but the difference is on this one, it's pretty wild. A lot of the games that I played before for miniature, like Star Wars X-Wing, you've got your upgrade cards. So you got your little model, you got your little cards with it, you got your little dice. But with this one, you don't have the cards, so to speak. You have to have different attachments on your figure. So when he bought his kit, I expected it just to be like these little plastic figures, and he paints them and maybe glues a couple like guns on. But it's not. The kit comes out with hands, like super, super tiny little hands, arms, feet, legs. And you got to position your guys, and you got to strap all the equipment and upgrades on your little model. And whatever he has on the model is how it plays.
So like if the guy wants to hold a sword, he's got to
Have the sword.
have a left hand. You got to
He's
put
got
a left
special
hand.
What if you
armor.
put-
Yeah.
But what if you put someone's butt on their head?
Then they're a butthead.
Ed, that's amazing. I don't know how that comes out that fast, but I'm very jealous.
Wow. Thank you very much for the compliment. I appreciate it. That makes me feel like life is great, man. So I played that, and it was very fun, very positive in the sense that, our whole family was getting into it and enjoying it. But at the same time, it was a little disheartening in the sense that,
Your childhood memory.
yeah, my little
Brainstorm was ruined.
long
You
story.
probably played that many years ago and forgot.
Maybe I played something like that. I can't say that I played that specific game because I never put together models. Remember back in the day when we had like those little planes and like big trucks that you put together and you buy at a toy and hobby shop? I don't know if you guys are into it, but you have cement glue
Ed,
and you
I
glue them
was
together.
out in the backyard playing football, pretending to be Terry Bradshaw for when I was 4 years old to 14. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Apparently
It
not.
worked out well, too.
It did. It did. I haven't given up hopes yet because Kenny Pickett, I don't know if he's our man.
Well, I gave up hope apparently on this game because it already exists. They have apparently a mech suit version, and my version of my head was a tank game, but apparently they have tanks for this game too. So it's already taken.
I like the violence aspect of it though too, because it's a nice segue into our talk about guns.
So we got a couple other things here on the list. Kickball league that I was participating in, that my brother was running. I've been playing in that over the last few weeks. The season is now over, and I found a new hairstylist and barber that I've been going to.
I can see that. Me too.
Yeah.
Hey Ed,
Yeah.
I'd like to comment on all your stories as a whole.
Oh.
So you're obviously, for the most part, you're a serious guy, bunch of degrees, teaching, likes what they do, but you are doing a very good job of continuing to play as an adult.
Thanks.
So fist bump out to you, Ed. Well done.
Thank you very much, Adam. Thank you very much. It's interesting because you brought up a good point. On our website, it talks about, trying to reach I think it's a modest level of contentment in life, right, on our website. And, what Adam had mentioned, I think is just a huge point, is that no matter what kind of degrees you earn, what walk of life, your job, your career, your profession takes you in, being able to enjoy life, enjoy others, friends, family, enjoy hobbies, games, just kind of let yourself, let loose a little bit and have fun. This is an important part of having that modest level of contentment in life. Because without that, you can have all the academic success, financial success, but if you can't let loose and have fun and just smile and have a good time, it's really all for nothing.
Exactly.
So, how old were you when you thought you wanted to invent this game?
I was probably, I think it was in college when I had like the first inkling of an idea because I love Stratego. That was kind of the base in my head. I always liked that board.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember that. It's kind of like these
I was
grids.
awesome
yeah.
at that game.
Yeah, that was a great game.
Stratego's awesome.
Yeah,
Right up
there you
with
go.
Risk.
You don't remember that one?
Adam, how would you play Stratego out in the backyard?
I did play it when I was younger. I played that in like late teens, like late
Okay.
nights.
Okay,
When college, nothing else to do.
got it. So you thinking college age or something?
College
like that.
age, I played this game in the arcade. They had it at the Rutgers Student Center. It's called Assault. And it was a tank game. It had these 2 sticks and kind of moved them to move your tank around. And I thought to myself, man, this would be so great on the Stratego board. And I thought to myself, somebody should make a board game like that. And then through college, I remember getting together with Pete and Craig and kind of brainstorming and testing some different games. And he had this one, I don't remember what it was. You were on a bridge, and then the bridge expanded to this separate board.
Yeah, that was.
And I was like, wow, that would be great, right? And so, then you reach adulthood, you get into your career. So, of course, that goes in the back burner. And I think, oh, that would be one of my retirement projects if and when one day I ever retire.
You're never retiring. It's just free.
Pretty much never.
It's but you don't have to retire to do it. You just have to dedicate some of your spare time to do it.
Yeah. But, that was always kind of on the back burner. And then, I shared it with my son, a couple times. He's like, oh, that sounds kind of cool, Dad. Because I always liked the tanks and the mech suits, and he was kind of into that too. And then a few weeks ago, he kind of mentioned to me, he's like, hey, Dad, I was playing this new game with my friends, and
I'm ruining your childhood thing. Yeah.
it's like, your game already exists.
So just so you know, they first published Warhammer in 1983.
Okay, yeah, it's not a new game. It's not a new game.
So maybe you played it once and it went into your subconscious.
Remember when I
and
said
it
that?
Sort of came back up.
I don't think I did. I don't think I did because I know a couple of friends who I knew growing up. They play it. I don't know when they got into it, but I don't remember growing up having played this game, and I certainly didn't put together those models because they're pretty intricate.
Yeah, don't worry, Ed. I think you're smart enough and creative enough to come up with it on your own. I'm not saying anything to the contrary.
Thanks, Adam. But it's a good challenge because now I'll just have to try and come up with a different game if and when the time comes
Yeah,
for
and
me to
look,
retire.
and look, the lesson is you got to, when opportunity knocks, you got to answer. You got to strike while the iron's hot. You got to make hay while the sun shines, right? That's why there's all those stupid sayings, because it's true.
I agree. We got a bag of open gummy candies here. I cannot let it pass.
That's right.
Eat them all.
And just so you guys know, Gary was very disciplined. He just sat here staring at the 5-pack of Reese's Peanut Butter
4.
Cups, and he didn't open it.
4.
4-pack. And then, so I opened it, and he ate 2 of them immediately.
Well, if I opened it myself, I'd eat all 4 of them.
But you see, that's
only a
discipline
4-pack.
because the default is if it's open, I should eat it.
Yeah.
And so he's stuck with that.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, yeah,
Same thing
'cause
here.
then it'll go
Depends on
bad.
what you got going. I wouldn't eat it if I was there. You'd have to eat them all because I'm on good behavior. I'm disciplined through the end of this year to get a 6-pack back. But come January 1st, all bets are off. So you can bring in a forklift load of whatever you want. Gummies, Reese's Pieces. I got you.
So
I got 'em
all you need to do is not eat junk for the next 6 weeks, and you're going to have a 6-pack?
Depends on when when did this
I got
start.
to do a lot of other stuff. We started a month ago. And,
I don't know if it's going to be that easy.
I got a 6-pack
It's
right
getting
now.
there.
It's just in a
well,
cooler.
Getting there.
Yeah. My 6-pack is still there, too. You haven't seen it in 15 years.
Yeah, you just got to peel off those layers of dad gut. Still there.
That's why I
I'm
don't have that
working
because
on
I'm
it.
not a dad.
I saw a T-shirt recently. It said, "My stomach is flat," and then underneath in smaller words, it said, "It's just that the L is silent." That's great.
Cool. All right. So, anybody have any other topics for Ed that we want to talk about?
I got a couple more here on my bullet point list. If you want me to finish the bullet point.
Cape Cod.
He's trying to take after Adam and just take up the whole show on his.
I wasn't sure if I would come prepared. I figured let me just kind of brainstorm a few things.
Cape Cod. The one thing about the Cape Cod trip.
There was a few. One of the highlights that I think you might be interested in hearing about is the
Were you
seals.
interviewing for my job in Brewster?
no, I was not.
Okay, thank you, Ed.
No. But to tell you, Adam, when you say that word, I'm sitting here thinking, having been in Massachusetts, I have no idea if I can find that on the map because their pronunciation of some of the
So
towns there is a
weird.
little funky. It's a little
It's very
Well,
Worcester.
that's only if
Worcester.
you're going to. It's only if you're going to Worcester, or Quincy. You know.
Yep.
Yeah, those are a little challenging. But one day when we were up in Cape Cod, my wife and I decided we were going to go out to this place called it was a fish market. I forget the name of the town. I think it was, what the name of the town is? Fish Market. And so, I don't remember. I'm trying to think. It was like this, Chatham. The Chatham Fish Market. Chatham, that's it. Chatham Fish Market. So, from what I understand, it was out by this pier. So we go out, we find this place. And there's this long pier, and there's all these signs that you can pay to go on these seal watching tours. And when we pulled up, there's all these people. You can see them crowded up at the end of the pier. And I was like, what are they doing there? Is there a show going on, or is there like a line for the seal watching tours? So we park the car, we get out, walk out to the end of the pier, and see all the fishermen there, getting their fish and stuff. And all around the water, all over, there's just all these seals. You can just see them. And I'm sort of thinking, why would I pay in a boat to go for a seal? I mean, they're literally all over. I mean, you can see them all over. And I'm watching, it was cool, and you can take pictures, and there's plenty of them doing their thing. So we have lunch. We drive down about a quarter mile. There's a lighthouse. We get out. We're walking around, take some pictures. We happen to go on the beach, and there's a big sign there. And I didn't think anything of it, but the sign made sense after I thought about it. It's a big sign that says, "Warning, stay out of the
Sharks.
water."
Yeah.
Great white sharks, known to be in this area. And I was thinking, that makes sense because the seals are all around, and that's their food, right?
Yeah.
So they got to go where the food is. So, needless to say, we
you
did not
go
go in the water.
You didn't go, but did you go see him in the boat?
No, we didn't go see in the boat. No, because we wanted to go see the lighthouse, and then we had some other stuff that we wanted to go check out that day. But it was interesting because we had thought about bringing the kayaks this time around when we went to Cape Cod. And then when I saw that sign, I was sort of thinking, I definitely don't want to kayak in the open ocean.
Come
What
on.
if you had some guns with you, though?
I did. I was packing them right here.
Yeah, you'd be all right.
You and Adam's six pack.
Oh yeah, Ed's guns and Adam's six pack. Maybe between all of us we can put together one decent looking dude.
Come on, 2 6 guns and a 6-pack. What else do you need?
All right, finish the what else you got?
What else I got on my list? Oh, hold on. My phone just went blank. I have to go from memory here. All right. So I think, so our small group Bible study got back together recently. We usually take the summers off, so we got back to doing that. There was another high interest, high yield savings account that we switched over to recently. And
That's exciting.
yeah, it is. I mean, if you want to hear about that, I'll talk about that a little bit.
What rates did you go to? From to?
So I'll kind of start off a little bit. For years, we've had the same money market account because it doesn't matter where you go, you would get squat, right? For the last 10 years or so.
Right.
Over the past year and a half.
What are you talking about? I made like 15 cents in interest last year.
Right, that's the point.
I only made 14. I had a really bad one.
Yeah.
So over about the last year and a half, interest rates have been rising. And so we've really been tracking it closely. So we have switched 3 times to a different savings account. So what happened is for years we had the money market account. It was all online. You got your low interest rate because that's what everybody was given. And then probably around the spring, around April, I found an online high yield interest savings account, switched over. It's 4.5. I'm like, all right, this is pretty good, right? Not bad, doing better. And we kept watching it because the interest rates kept going up. And so now, it's going up even more. Probably around September, I think it was August, September, we found one that was 5.05% online high yield savings account.
Yeah.
So we're watching it, read about it, read a couple of reviews. I personally like Bankrate.com. I like NerdWallet.com, and I like Fortune. I think I find them to be pretty reliable. I find them to be very user-friendly. They have nice little bullet points. If you don't have time, you don't have to read all the articles. And I find it very helpful for me to make my financial decision-making. So
And how long was this best rate good for?
This 5.05. Now, here's the catch. This one has a catch. If you don't keep the minimum balance, and the minimum balance on this one's a little high, it's $5,000. And so if you don't keep the minimum balance, then it's very low. It's less than 1%. It's like 0.48%.
Right.
But then once you go back over 5,000, then you get the 5.05. So if you have something saved up, right, then it's something that's a pretty good product for you, to consider. The other thing with it is
Who's making noise?
It's Adam. Adam, what are you doing over there?
It could be Adam. We're hearing a lot of noise from you, Adam. We think.
I don't know. Oh, you know what? Maybe it's this. I put seatbelt is messing with my speaker here. Sorry.
So,
Better?
Yeah.
Yes.
Better.
so the other thing that kind of kept my interest is that the fact that the interest rates are still rising now. I keep looking. So now there's another online savings product that I'm currently watching. It's called Popular Direct. It's actually the online division of Banco Popular. They do a lot of business in Puerto Rico, Latin America, Central America, South America.
Yep.
And they're part of Popular Inc., which is based in New York City. And so they offer a 5.4% APY high interest savings account. However, they also have a couple catches. And so the catches with them, from what I understand, what I've been reading so far, and I haven't made a decision to switch over yet because I'm still in the information gathering phase for these guys. If it's the first 180 days and you decide to cancel the account, you got to pay a fee. It's $25. You're allowed a maximum of 6 withdrawals in the statement period, which I imagine is a month.
Yeah.
I haven't checked out that in detail yet, and I want to make sure it's not some kind of crazy, hidden thing that I got to watch out for. So I assume it's a month.
But is this money that you use? Is this your day-to-day money, or is this just sitting there for rainy day money?
Well, a couple more catches, then I'll get to that. If you have more than 6 withdrawals in a month, you've got to pay a $5 fee. So you're allowed a maximum of 6.
It doesn't matter how you take out 1 penny. That counts as one.
Yeah,
One withdrawal,
transaction.
yeah.
They don't
One.
care.
Yeah, it just said 1 withdrawal transaction. So I guess you're allowed to make as many deposits as you want. They don't mind it coming in.
Of course. Of course.
And the last thing is, if you link an external account, you cannot link any other external accounts to your Popular Direct account for, I think it's 60 days. Then you can switch it, but you can't have more than one linked account. So you have a checking account and you have another online savings account. You can't have multiples linked, only one.
It's a lot of work. I have my financial advisor, and there's a money market, and it's getting over 5%, and all the money just sits there. I don't have to worry about anything else.
Well, hold on. There's another, I don't know if it's a catch, but another limitation. Most of these really high yield accounts that are coming out are only guaranteeing you that yield for 6 months or 9 months, maybe.
So for
what have you seen, Ed?
So far for the accounts that I've been in, the one back in April, that was Citizens Access, part of Citizens Bank. That was 4.5%, and it's all the time. It's just constantly 4.5%.
Until the rates change.
Well,
Until the rates change, but as of right now, because I told my kids about it too, and they don't necessarily have $5,000 saved up, but my younger child was working during the summer, and I explained to my younger child, listen, you got all this money you made in the summer, why let it sit in your bank account? Go switch it over. So they actually are using a Citizens Access account. It's still 4.5. The one I switched to back in the end of August, beginning of September, the CIT, that is still 5.05. But like Johnny had mentioned, until the rates change.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so these aren't guaranteed for
Right.
usually.
So most of these are for about 6 months, and which is great, but it's not like you can just put the money in there and think you're going to beat inflation forever and,
No.
and you're set. You got to watch it.
Right. And so far,
I-bonds are approaching that as well. I-bonds peaked maybe, what was it, a little more than a year ago at 9%.
9%, yeah.
But now they're back in that 4 or 5% range.
so the other thing with those is I was reading a lot of articles is that sometimes what they'll do is they'll kind of offer you a certain percentage that they'll advertise, but then you actually open the account, particularly with CDs, is then they'll do the bait and switch. They'll go, we're advertising 5.5, but that's not the one you signed up for. Well, you signed up for the one for 4.8.
Yep.
Right, and they'll kind of do that. So you got to be careful of that. And of course, for any of the viewers that are listening out there, if you're looking around, always make sure it's FDIC insured. Right, it's the main thing you want to do when you're working with any sort of banking institution. Although I did come across something with credit unions. Apparently, FDIC insurance is only for banks.
Yep.
For credit unions, there's another federal agency that have a 4-letter acronym. I don't remember what it is off the top
We
of my
don't
head.
use 4-letter words on this show.
I don't remember what it is, but it is regulated. It is insured. There's some other agency. I have no idea. I kind of got a little scared. And my spidey senses were tingling. I'm like, this is an FDIC insured, man. I don't know about this. I got to read a lot more about this before I decide to put my money in there. So I did not get involved with the credit unions. How about you guys? Because I was going to ask you about that. I have no experience with credit unions. Have you guys ever used credit unions?
I had one for a long time because I used to use it just for getting car loans.
What'd you think?
I used it just for getting loans. It was good for getting loans.
I have never, but I've heard lots of good things.
Okay.
So,
Same.
yeah.
How about this regulatory agency that backs it up? I mean, is it as good as they're saying? Oh yeah, this is as good as FDIC assured. I'm like,
It's
well,
the
not.
it's
That's
the
not same thing.
NCUSIF. So
Oh,
that's
okay.
not 4 letters.
It's
It's
the
allowed-
same-
so you can say it on
It's
here.
the same amount, 250.
Yeah. So they're mirroring what FDIC is.
And I had never heard of that. So for me, I kind of shied away because they did offer some good rates for both
Yeah.
CDs and high yield online savings accounts. But being that I never had any experience with credit unions and being that I never heard of that agency, again, my spidey senses were tingling. So I had to back away.
I don't think your spidey senses are working.
Too much sugar.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's good information, Ed.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, we're seeing, you have that same thing with all the banks, right? Banks or brokerage accounts, they all have the high interest stuff. But Gary brings up a good point, right? So he's using a financial advisor, and it's his job to move the money around and make sure it gets those kind of rates, right? So, but and you're paying for that, you don't have to worry about it, right? So you can get it either way. All right. Any more questions for Ed and his catch up from anybody?
Mustard.
Mustard. All right. Johnny.
Okay. That was silly.
Johnny,
Hello, everyone. No, been really busy. Strangely enough, been traveling a lot. Everyone knows we went to Portugal, got back from that, and then a little bit after that, I went to, and this is for work, except for the last one. I went to Chicago for work. From Chicago, we flew to L.A. From LA right back to Newark, was at work for a day, and then went to Myrtle Beach. Nice R&R, and just got back last night, and now I'm here with you, nice people. The good thing is that I was able to spend the week with a large section of the family. There was 6 more of us, and 2 babies and a little kid. So it was definitely a lot of excitement, a lot of activity, and also got to see Ray over there. He flew in for a day, got to see some properties, got to talk to some people that he had set up, always gathering knowledge on rental properties and the trends that people see happening. And I always like to learn and sort of pick people's minds and see, how they see things. We've been going to Myrtle Beach for years, every year, and I didn't know that there was a whole section of North Myrtle Beach that had a whole different rental ability and houses and how they saw it and the different benefits of it. So I learned a lot, and just been very busy, just flying all over the place and driving. We drove to Myrtle Beach, so I'm a little bit exhausted. I drove all the way back. And even though I've slept twice, I'm still kind of tired for whatever reason.
So I was going to drive down. I was going to go down for 2 days while you were there, and I was going to drive. And Gary was thinking about coming down with me. And then at the last minute, I just decided I'm going to fly anyway. So flew out of Atlantic City. I don't know if we've ever flown out of Atlantic City before, have we? I don't think so. So, Adam, your seatbelt is in the way again. So, but what I did fine for being in Jersey, like it's not terrible. Like driving an hour and 15 minutes to Atlantic City. It's a tiny airport. You just walk right in, get on a plane, go. It's a piece of cake.
I like that airport.
And you
Yeah.
land in a tiny airport.
And you land in
leave,
Myrtle
piece of
Beach,
cake.
piece of cake. Like it
Yeah.
is all that
10
stuff
minutes
was-
from
There's
our
not-
location.
I didn't go because the plan was to leave at 5 in the morning, drive 10 hours, stay there for a day, leave at 5 in the morning next day, drive. I'm like, yeah, that was going to be rough.
Should have just flown.
That wasn't the plan. When I didn't know about the flying until 2 days later. But I don't know if I want to fly down for a day. Still, I mean, it's one day.
Well, it was supposed to be
nothing?
2 days. I
Nice.
changed it.
Nice.
I came back early, so
Would've hung
I really
out.
just commuted. I went at 7 a.m. and I was back on
It's
a
a
10 p.m.
short
flight.
flight. What are you in the air for 90 minutes?
Yeah, 90 minutes, maybe a little bit less. So yeah, I left the house at 4:30 a.m. Went there, flew down, spent the whole day with Johnny and the gang, met 3 real estate people. We had dinner. They took me back to the airport, got on a plane at 10 o'clock,
Boom.
home by midnight,
Nice and easy.
done.
When
Yeah.
you went through, so you went through TSA twice. Did you see anyone like bringing guns on by mistake and get caught?
No, they all had long sleeves.
Yeah,
No guns out.
I couldn't
Nice.
see him. Yeah,
Nice. No 6-packs either, I guess.
no.
Ironically, with all the gun laws over there, is people probably do make the mistake and try to go through TSA.
Or just forget.
Yeah.
Oh
they
yeah.
Forget.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen it happen.
Would be rare over here, but
Yeah.
But there was something, Ray wanted me to share this story, which is something interesting that happened on my trip to Chicago and LA. So this happens between the span of Monday to Wednesday. So we go, I take a jacket, and right when we're
But you
leaving.
flew from where to where to where?
So we fly from Newark Airport to Chicago O'Hare. And from Chicago O'Hare, we went to LAX, and LAX all the way back to Newark. So we get on the Uber at work, and I remember having my keys, my work keys and my car keys in my hand. And I had a loose jacket, and I just shove them in the pocket, bring the zipper up, and tie the jacket to my carry-on luggage, right? So we get in, we get through security, we do everything. We go to have lunch, whatever time it was, lunch or dinner.
In Chicago.
No, in Newark, right before we board, right? So we're in Newark before we board, and we eat. And I remember looking down at my bag, and my jacket was very dirty from dragging it down the terminal. So I clean it, and the mental stamp, that's the last time I saw my jacket. I remember cleaning it. That was it. Get on the airplane, get to Chicago, get in the Uber. It's at night. Get to the hotel, do what we have to do the next day, blah, blah, blah. Come Wednesday, when we're ready to leave that day, I open up the shades in the hotel room, and it's pouring. And the first thing that comes to mind is my jacket. I was like, I haven't seen my jacket in a while. So I'm looking around the room. My jacket's gone. So I hurry up. I go into the Uber app. I call, or they make you message the guy, and then from the message, and you answer all the right questions. They give you the number. You call. He didn't pick up the phone. So I go in through the app. I go back to the message thing. Hey, this guy, I called him. He didn't. I left my jacket. They ask you all the information. Then someone calls me and says, hey, we're trying to get a hold of the guy and the information they gave to us. The guy calls me back about 10 minutes later. He says, listen, I remember you guys. I remember your baggage and everything. I checked my car. It's not in my car. So I'm like, well, I guess it's at the airport. I hope, whatever. So wherever I left it. So we do our thing that day, go back to the airport. And let me go back a little bit. We were actually had enough time to take a river cruise through Chicago, which I recommend. That is really cool. Teaches you a lot of the history and all the architecture. And it's long, and the person who did it was extremely knowledgeable and he kept everyone involved. But it was starting to get really cold. So I said to myself, I didn't have my jacket. Let me go down to the lower. While I was sitting in the bottom part of the boat, I said, let me go on their website, on United website, and see if there's something like Lost and Found. So I go into Lost and Found, I fill out all the stuff. It gives you a little number. And the reason why I say it was good that I did that, when you go into the Lost and Found at the airport in Chicago, they will not let you talk to them unless you filled that out. Right? So because I had already done it online, the girl just asked me the number. I go, give her the number, wait a few minutes. She comes back, she says, sorry, sir, from Monday to Wednesday, no one has given back your jacket. So I'm like, all right, I guess hopefully maybe I dropped it somewhere in Newark, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, we do again, we eat everything.
We still test your bag.
Huh?
We still test your bag.
No, trust me, I wish it was. So the whole time I'm panicking because I have both sets of keys in there. My car keys, the key fob, that's not cheap, all the stuff from work and blah, blah, blah. So
Johnny's one of the guys with like the big, giant
big keys, all keys
hanging off his hip,
the whole kingdom, So we go, and the whole time I'm looking at the screen, I'm saying, man, I wonder if we're gonna get upgraded, because we're both on the upgrade list, right? Looking to see if we're going to get upgraded, looking at the list, and I'm like, I doubt it. There's so many people here. It was a packed flight because it's going from Chicago to L.A. The popular flight, they said. So don't think anything of it. Not thinking. Looking at the upgrade screen. All of a sudden it comes up. Flight is delayed. It's delayed half hour. So I'm like, shoot, half hour. And then we start looking again. The thing keeps going through the standby list and list, and I keep seeing our names. And like 10 minutes later, the guy goes, Johnny Santana, come to the terminal. I'm like, oh, cool. And the guy I'm with, he goes, you better not get upgraded before me, because he's a 1K member. But I'm only a gold. So I go to the guy. The guy goes, Johnny Santana. He goes, who? He gives me my jacket. I'm like,
all right.
I'm like,
And
I
did
asked,
you check the pockets? Was there a first class ticket in the pockets?
there was not, but there was something more valuable than that. My keys and everything were in it, right? Much better. But the thing is, I asked the guy, I say, hey, where'd you get this jacket? He goes, no, the maintenance guy brought it to me. I'm like,
so you hadn't seen it since Newark.
Since Newark. So, but the thing was, lost and found didn't have it, and a
How did they know it
maintenance
was
guy.
yours?
I have no clue. I don't know how they knew it was mine, but more importantly, they brought it to the terminal I was in, and I was in a completely different terminal than what I landed in. So either the paper that I filled out was tracking you, or I don't know. But not even an hour later, the girl had said from Monday to Wednesday, no one has brought it in. She was lost and found. So after that, I was so happy. Oh my God!
Must have made your
Oh
day.
my God! Because I was going through the whole thing, the keys, having to go to the dealer, get another key, blah, 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 blah. But anyway, that was an interesting thing. So I wrote positive reviews for United because of that.
Right on.
And I've been
They
telling
need
everyone
one.
the story, that it was just like that. And even the guy I was with the rest of the trip, he kept saying the same thing. He goes, how did they get your jacket back? That's really interesting.
Yeah.
So
See, that's
got my
And this
jacket.
is something that gives me a little bit of faith in humanity. It doesn't
Yes.
completely restore it. But
Yes.
as someone who loses stuff all the time, wallets, keys, sunglasses, you name it, I lose things all the time. But in all of those times, honestly, it's easily over 100 times. Everything's been recovered except for once. And I've heard a lot of people with similar stories. And at the end of the day, I think it does prove, most people are good and are good people, and that's how you get your stuff back, or you just leave it in a safe place that you forgot. But
That's what I do.
Point being, just because you lose something, stick with it.
Yeah.
Not all is lost.
Adam.
It's gonna come
And I
back
asked
to
the
you.
guy if I could. I was like, oh, can I hug you? He was like, that's not necessary. I was so happy.
Adam, what was the once?
His virginity.
So no, the once was actually in Union Beach, and I almost never carry cash in my wallet. And for some reason, I had $500 in it. We were at a
Whoa.
playground. The kids were like 2 years old.
This
3
is
years old,
by
and-
Brian's, by
Yeah,
Brian
somewhere
Brothers.
down
Yeah.
there, and I don't know where I left it. That's how things are lost, is you don't know where you left it. But a couple days later, I realized I hadn't seen my wallet in a few days, and that's when I start getting a little bit concerned. And after a week went by, I figured it was gone. That was the only time, though.
Nice.
Wow, $500 though.
And there's a good chance it's
And
still
that was,
there.
That was a good 15 years ago.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know where
okay.
the park is. I don't know how to get back there.
Well, it doesn't matter because Sandy went through there, so it's not there.
Oh, it could be buried.
It might be in Chatham, Massachusetts, but it's certainly not there. Yeah, or it's 5 feet below grade now. So
Maybe he's collecting interest, Adam, for some crabs.
yeah, they're
Some shellfish,
they're very
scallops.
interested in it.
Yeah, but other than that, that's all I've done. So that's just a lot of airplanes and a lot of terminals and just,
And it's all work, the first stuff.
yeah, all of it. But it was good this year, though. I have to say, even though we went to a trade show in Chicago, even though it was much smaller, because it was more, more specific, we got more out of it. And then the trip to LA was just an information one, which was also very informative. So just been busy, and it's good to be back at home for the rest of the year until January.
Johnny, you mentioned Myrtle Beach. We were there a few years back for a family trip, and I had no idea when we were there. There were so many miniature golf places. I got talking to one of the fellas, working
Golf
at one.
capital of the world.
Wait, and Way's gonna love what you have to say about
And
this.
he had said, he goes, there's a lot of golf around here, a lot of golf courses, golf capital of the world. He goes, not only that, he said, but apparently, I didn't know this, they actually have an annual World Miniature Golf Championship, and it's held in Myrtle Beach.
I believe
I
it.
had no idea.
How do you
Wow.
qualify?
I don't know. Must be no.
We're gonna have to
fee.
sign up. Way's gonna sign us
Are
up.
you guys any good though? Like,
I don't know.
Or just to do it.
Maybe there's a bunch of pros out there that are amazing, right?
Dude.
But
Professional mini golfer.
yeah.
That'd be
Oh.
a great job, man.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I know another side note. If you do go there, and they have the outlet stores for all the golf shoes and stuff, and so Lou got stuff, and so the Mikey's. They said it was much less expensive than New Jersey.
Off
so.
season too.
Yeah,
right?
off season. So, well, because you mentioned Myrtle Beach, I have to say that is probably, and everyone knows I've been to a lot of beaches. Myrtle Beach is probably the nicest, pristine, well cared for beach that you can go to.
And it's
Oh,
massive.
time out,
at
time
a
out,
short
time out.
area.
You gotta qualify that. Pristine? It is the most crowded. I've never been there, but I'm just saying when you look at
Adam,
Google Earth,
Adam,
it is nothing but resort hotels, 14 stories, 20 stories.
Adam, you have a
just
different-
slammed
Adam,
on the entire
we
beach.
went.
You have hold on.
We
You
went-
guys have different perspectives.
Yeah, we went off season, number one. And ironically, even though I've been going there for 20 years, I've never been there on season. right? So you're absolutely correct. I met an old man in the pool, and he told me that if we came June, July, and August, unless you went there at 6 o'clock in the morning, you will not get a place in the beach. But we've never been there. Our time is usually in March, and then after COVID, they have been allowing you to change all your time slots and everything. So we've been going October. This was the first time we went the first week of November. There is how many, Ray, from front of the room? 6 people on the beach, if that.
Oh, yeah.
There's actually more animals more people's pets than people on the beach. It's completely empty, and it is
So wait,
massive.
But when you just
so
say
listen,
pristine,
right.
you mean no litter?
There's no litter. It's extremely clean.
Okay.
They rake
I
it
got you.
every
I got you.
morning. The way the sand is, it doesn't create, even in the off season, doesn't create that mound that most places do. Like the
With all the
water.
seaweed and stuff in it, yeah.
No seaweed. It's beautiful. It's just a beautiful beach. You could walk it
Okay.
for forever. It really is a nice
just
beach.
Just a distinction in terms. I
Correct.
would call that manicured. I wouldn't call that pristine.
Adam's
But I
version
get
of
your
pristine
point.
is there's no humans for 100 miles in either direction, right? Like no development, no buildings, no people. No
Yeah,
nothing.
the
So-
closest one that I go to, which I also go there, is Culebra, and you might find one person off season on the beach.
Yeah,
That's probably pristine.
that one qualifies.
Yeah, that one qualifies. But I just say it because, we're used to, Jersey Shore is nice, but Myrtle Beach is very nice. I mean, obviously, sorry, Adam. I mean,
No,
high
I'm glad
rises,
to hear it.
high
I
rises
like
and all
that
that
it's
stuff
very
don't
nice
bother me, but
because
the
that's
beach is
what,
beautiful.
That's
You
what
just-
pays the bills too.
Yeah, you sit on that balcony and it's just so you just hear the water. You look out there, you wake up, you just open those blinds, and it's just so peaceful.
That's
I love
great.
it.
Let's make a plug for the rental properties. If you would like to enjoy what Johnny is describing, a fantastic, pristine beach, check out Dunes Resort and the Caribbean.
Yep, Dunes Village.
Best two places in Myrtle Beach. Thank you. Thank you.
So when we went down to Myrtle Beach a few years back, we actually met up with some people who we knew that lived in our town, locally around here.
Coincidentally?
No,
that you bumped into them?
no. We've kept in touch as they moved away. They're a little bit older. They retired, and so we kept in touch through the years. And we said, hey, let's get in touch, in contact with these people, meet up with them. So we met up with them. We asked them how it was going, and they're sharing a story when they first moved down there. They live one town west of Myrtle Beach. And so they had said when they first went down to go look at properties, they lived in Jersey their whole life. And so when they met up with the realtor, they said, wow, this place is really nice, but what are the taxes? And so the realtor said at the time, they said, oh, you're probably gonna be paying like around $800 or $900. And they said, oh, a month? And the realtor was kind of shocked. And they said, my goodness, no, a year.
Yeah.
And of course, being from Jersey, they're like, oh my gosh, it's unbelievable.
Well, we went to a wine place, and the guy serving was from at one point New Jersey and Albany. Town of Myrtle Beach has a huge tax cut for people who reside in Myrtle Beach because of all the tourism.
Mm-hmm.
So for a $235,000 condo that he has, or townhouse he called it, he pays $235.
That's pretty good.
Right, but it's subsidized the other way, right? So we were just looking at our taxes today for the condo that we have in Dunes Village, and it's almost $7,000, right, for a 3-bedroom condo.
Yeah.
And
So
a
all of
one-bedroom
them
is about
pay
10
for the
times
residents,
what
so they
he's
have to
paying.
deal with the traffic and the people.
Yeah.
But he says, I thought about selling it and then go back to Rochester, which is the last place he lived. And he goes, and I looked, the place that I wanted, 10 grand. He's like, I'm never going back.
And it's cold up there.
Dreaming.
Right.
So yeah, it's something interesting. Still, for people looking to retire somewhere with really low taxes, that's one location.
And I got talking to a guy at a restaurant.
Rochester definitely has less than pristine beaches. Now, I'll remind you, and I hope this restaurant story involves a gun because we got 15 minutes left and we haven't gotten there
No,
yet,
no
John.
gun. We got to
it
hear
actually involves
Gary.
real estate. So it turns out I got talking with the guy at a restaurant after we saw these folks from this area, and they live now down in Myrtle Beach area, and they started sharing the stuff about the real estate taxes. I started talking to a guy at a restaurant, and I'm like, hey, listen, there must be really good cost of living here. I was just meeting up with some friends. They told us the real estate property tax is really low, and he was explaining, yeah, but the problem is living here. He said it's very hard to get year-round employment. He said most of the jobs down there is seasonal
Yes,
because like
100%,
Johnny was saying,
100%.
it's very, very crowded in the
yeah.
summer. And then when the season ends, typically there's a lot of layoffs.
Yes.
So if you're one
Now,
of the few,
let's think about that. What about if you're like a handyman? Well, that means you got work from October to May when nobody's there, getting everything fixed up, and you got the summer off.
True. That's one way to look at it.
You've got to make it work, right? But there can't be that amount of work for everybody. Like, not, you know, people have to come in and do all that work in the summer and then leave or be unemployed, right? Because you can't. Everybody can't have what Adam just described, right? So it is. You see the seasonal stuff everywhere. Any place you go, that's a vacation-y kind of place. You're going to see that seasonal stuff. And,
lots of gun shops down there too. Seriously.
No, and last weekend was the gun show at the convention center.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a touchy topic there, Adam. There's no silver bullet for gun control.
There is not.
Gun control is called practice.
Ed, it's amazing how quick on the trigger you are.
You heard, Adam? Gun control is just practice. That's how you get gun control.
Gary, your turn.
I got nothing.
That's because you didn't go with Ray to Myrtle Beach, man.
Oh, I thought you told me, do I have anything on this gun control thing?
No.
We're waiting for you to make a
What you
dad
been
joke
doing?
so you can get the gun.
You know, I heard they can 3D print a gun, but it's got to
yes.
be a Canon printer.
It's got to be.
You can
Don't they
3D
come out
print a
too
gun, but they
big?
don't last very long.
The
You get
bullets
like one
come
shot.
out like 8
you
inches
get
in
the Canon
diameter
card?
when you use a camera.
Yeah, I got it. I mean, we were here just 2 weeks ago, so I mean, my life's not that exciting. I don't have a whole lot going on in 2 weeks. That wasn't.
You have to do something.
Well,
Don't feel pressured, Gary. If you're that boring, we'll just move on.
no. We got to end these jump shots. Rim shots are terrible. I mean, just finished the cross country season at Drew where I'm coaching. We had regionals yesterday, so that's
Did
over.
you win? Did you win?
Our team?
Yeah.
No. But we had one of our better finishes in a long time for both the women's and men's teams, so we're moving forward. And our inaugural track program, we never had track before at Drew, is starting tomorrow. So that's going to be exciting.
Sounds like there's some good coaching.
Hopefully.
It's a volunteer.
It better
job,
be.
or-
No, I'm assistant coach.
Oh, nice.
So track means you run around on the track, and cross country means you're running
You run across the country.
on the woods, in the
Yeah.
woods.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Well, it doesn't have
Is
to be
it
wood.
just track or is it field also?
Good point. I don't want to offend those field people. It's track and field.
Oh, you just say
Right.
track because you only run.
Yeah. People do get mad. Like when I'm out selling shirt stuff and I have these track things, like, what about field? I'm like, yeah. They want it to say instead of track and field, field and track. I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
No way. Hey, how about another rim shot? It's been 60 seconds without a dad joke. I thought he left had some dry powder still left. I guess not.
All right, are we going to cave in and give Adam let Adam talk about guns? I guess. It's
Why
about
does
time.
How much time we have left?
What's the deal with the
I
guns?
get it.
I have no problem talking about guns. I love guns.
All right, so this is what I was thinking. Back in January, when we listed out all the topics we could talk about, it was essentially picking out all the nouns in the dictionary, of which guns was one of them. And I think it's important to talk about guns because, we're kind of, no one wants to hear about money anymore, whatever.
I
It's a new
second that.
topic. So I don't know much about guns, and it just occurred to me even how they work. And Johnny, you're going to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think like a bullet is not just a piece of metal, but it also has some kind of explosive tip on it. And when you pull the trigger, the tip gets smacked and the impact makes it explode. And
It's the other
because
way around.
bullets-
The back part of it has a primer, and then in front of the primer you have the gunpowder, and then the projectile is what leaves. So the tip is
Right,
not
but that's
what's
all
explosive.
on the bullet itself? Like,
Correct.
it's all one. Okay, yeah. So, and then the reason it shoots is because you have an explosion which wants to go in 360 directions, but there's only one way out of the barrel. So it goes out the empty end, right?
So-
Where the hole is.
That is correct.
Right.
But to be specific, you have two explosions. You have a mini explosion from the primer explodes and then lights the gunpowder.
Now, this happens like nanoseconds,
Yes,
right? I mean,
100%.
because you can't really even perceive. Okay, got it. Because I can't even perceive that. All right. So here's the.
So wait a minute. I
first
thought you
question
had to
about a
stuff
gun.
the gunpowder down the muzzle of the gun.
Didn't put
That's
the
a
pump-
muzzle
Talking
loader or a
about
musket. No.
1700s. Yeah.
Civil
So
War.
look, I have always liked guns and big, water guns, cap guns, guns that shoot like
Ed's guns.
suction
Nerf
cup
Nerf
targets,
guns?
right? Nerf guns. Always like them. And you talk to any 5 to 12-year-old boy, guns are cool. That's just a fact of life. But it gets a little more serious as you get older. And one reason people have guns is, okay, self-protection. Totally get it. If I lived in a bad part of town or a bad city and I was concerned about my safety, you know, I get it. A gun is one way to go.
I'm going to interject real quick, Adam. We could talk about the heroin epidemic in New Jersey, and that is in very affluent neighborhoods. So I would say, as long as you want a self-defense, it doesn't mean urban or bad neighborhood. Any neighborhood these days.
You
Well,
mean because
right,
the heroin
I should've-
epidemic drives people to break into houses to steal
huge.
stuff?
Stealing stuff.
What I'm saying
terrible.
is, and what I mean bad or dangerous, I just mean more likely to need a gun for protection. That's all. No intended.
No, I get it. I'm just saying, in
affluence or
general,
not.
I think you were
Right.
accurate until recently. You have fentanyl, you have all these things, all these locations where you shouldn't have the need
Got
for
it.
it, and now you do.
And
So
I
this
think
discussion's even more relevant.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do? I have a gun loaded under my pillow because the most likely thing to happen is someone's coming into my house at 3 a.m. when I'm sleeping. Now, the proper way, I think, to store a gun is to have it locked away somewhere and to have your ammo in a different room. Well, that's going to do me no good at 3:30 in the morning when I hear somebody charging into my house.
Correct.
So the question is, then do I not, to be protected, don't I need to have a loaded gun right at my bedside with the bullets in it?
Okay, I got an answer for you. And the second part of my answer to you is just my opinion. But the first one is held pretty to a lot of trained people. So you're absolutely right. So in a house that has children, obviously you want to have your gun in a safe or in a very secure location and where they can't put two and two together, because in shows and TV and movies, the kid will figure out a way to put this thing, right? But let's say that that's not the case, that we're purely talking about self-defense. You want it. What you want to do is, and this is if you have a semi-automatic, right? We're not going to get too specific between a revolver and a semi-automatic, but most people don't have revolvers. Most people prefer, a nice Glock or a Smith & Wesson that is...
But when you say that, I mean because it has a cartridge to load it?
Correct. It has a cartridge, right? So what most people will do is a variation of this, but if you could imagine, and if anyone's seen on TV, when you run out of bullets, your gun, the slide stays back, right? So it's completely back and it's not loaded forward. So you could see down into where the bullet gets loaded. And what they'll do is they'll leave it either on in a location next to the bed. The second part of that I'll tell you in a second that I bought and I've been using it. It's pretty cool. They will have the clip sticking out the bottom and the slide back. Whereas if someone was to hit it, was to grab it right away, you couldn't do it. You couldn't do anything with it. Sorry. So what you would do is if you heard someone come into your house or your alarm went off or whatever, you pick up the gun and in 2 steps yourself, you then loaded the gun. It wasn't loaded so that you're avoiding any accidents. Right? Because a lot
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize
actually
people
works.
shoot themselves, shoot through their floors, shoot their spouse, shoot their kids all the time. It's not something that is rare. They're cleaning their
Is
gun.
that accidentally or
Yes,
intentionally?
accidentally. I apologize. I should have said that initially. Accidental. So I'll give you, I'm not going to say the name just in case. There is a particular gun that is extremely popular, semi-automatic, that in order to pull the slide off to clean it, you need to pull the trigger. And what do people do? They go to the shooting range, whatever, and they don't undo the gun. They might have left the clip in. It might have still been in. They go to clean their gun, and boom, shoot the foot, shoot the floor, whatever. So there's a lot of stuff that it's like anything
That's
else.
a real good way to shoot yourself right in the foot. huh?
Exactly. So the second part of, not to make this too long, I recently purchased it's a little, it only holds 1 gun. It's the size of like a little filing where you'd keep your fireproof titles and stuff in a little box. So you could say it's about 4 inches tall, 12 inches by 12, let's say. And most of them, they either have like what would you call it? Like a rolling thing, the locks that have the 3 numbers, or those keys that you get like in the Krypton bike locks, like something like that. This one has everything: fingerprint, key fob, 3 different ways to open it, right? So what you do is they sell one that goes around your wrist, right? You keep it right there next to the bedside. You go to bed, you put it on your wrist, and if anything happens, you just wave your hand over it, the RFID in it, and the door is spring-loaded. The minute you hit it, the thing just pops up. The gun's right there.
Already loaded.
Well, you
All
could,
right,
in
so-
that case, you could keep it
Right.
loaded, right? Because you added that additional security measure. So I don't know if that
Right, so you
answers your
answered my
question.
question. Yeah, no, in terms of like being practical for self-defense, you answered the question. Now, question back to you is, are all those legal ways to store? So if you had that setup, the first setup you described, where the gun is there, but the cartridge is slid back, so you got to take a step or two. It's not ready to fire, but it's very close. Is it legal to keep that under your bed or by your bedstand
Well,
in that state?
I want to ask it a different way. Are there laws or rules about how you have to keep a gun in your house?
So they're the same as the process to get your license. It's all by the local municipality. So, for instance, where I live, they just made me send them a picture of my safe, and that's it. So, for instance, you are not obligated to keep anything separate in your house. Just that if someone does get hurt by your gun in your house and they prove negligence, you get charged with negligence, because there
And
isn't.
what's-
You're
is
in
it-
your
is it
home.
negligence if it wasn't in your safe?
It's negligence because you had a firearm that could cause damage and you didn't do any steps to protect individuals, children, or yourself.
Yeah, but you could say, but I had the cartridge pulled back and it
No.
wasn't
I'm
ready to
saying
fire.
when something happens, that's what's going to happen. There aren't, at least where I live, there aren't laws that force you to keep it in a safe, to keep it anywhere. You're in your home,
Got
so
it.
you could do whatever you want. I'm just saying, once something happens, a child gets hurt, someone gets hurt, we're not talking about home invasion or protecting yourself. We're talking about just basic gun accident. They're going to then investigate how you were storing it. And it was in the news not too long ago that a kid got shot in the house, and they proved that the parents were negligent by leaving loaded weapons
Yep.
on the thing. And that's what they got charged for negligence, not for not abiding by whatever gun storage laws, because I've never
Right,
heard of
right.
that.
But there are laws about when you're traveling or
Oh,
transporting.
no,
right?
100%. So that one's easy to answer. So you need to have your gun completely unloaded and without the clip, separate from the bullets, obviously in a completely different container, storage, however you store the gun and the bullets. And there is debate. And we could talk about this all day long, because I've talked to people who work at gun stores. I've talked to police. Ironically, most of the police in this area do not know anything about gun laws. 90% of them tell me, I don't know. This is just what my department issued me. That's their answer. But the key with that is you want to have it completely separate. And then something interesting that I'll add.
But wait, Johnny, you're saying completely separate. Isn't that going against what we opened
Not
with?
in your car.
terms of being
This
prepared?
is in your
for
car.
transport.
Ray said for transport.
sorry.
I apologize. Yeah, Ray asked, how do you transport them? So in transporting a firearm, let's say you're going from your house to the shooting range, you have to have the gun in an approved case, which every gun that you purchase comes with one, and the bullets in some other container away from it in your trunk, so you could put your gun in the back seat and the bullets in the trunk, or vice versa. Or if you have a minivan like I did for a long time, you just want to keep them as far apart as possible. Now, there's another interesting thing. Some people have brought up that some law enforcement people will not like you to have to be transporting loaded clips. So they even want you to have the clips bullets out of the clip. But there's something interesting, and that maybe it's not any of your questions, but it's just something to think about. And if you know anyone, I know people who actually cross state lines to go shooting. And there's a lot of questions on, if you go to a shooting range in Pennsylvania, are you legal to have that gun
If
there?
you have a New Jersey license.
Correct.
only.
So, and that's also something that's to debate. I've been told that you need to have legal ability to carry the gun from where you started to where you ended. So, for instance, myself, who has a carry permit in 30-something states, if I was to drive to my wife's family in Georgia, I would be legal. If I drove to Florida, I would be legal. But if I drove to Connecticut, you're not legal. So you shouldn't do that, right? So you should also, if you're going to transport a firearm, let's say you're going to the shooting range, do not stop anywhere going and do not stop anywhere back. You want to be just get in your car, go there, do what you got to do, practice, blah, blah,
Right,
blah,
'cause
get back in
if
your
you
car and
stop
go back home.
somewhere, You might get in an argument with someone, get really angry, and
Or your
use
car
the
gets-
gun for not what it's
Yeah,
meant
go
for.
go to the fast food place real quick, and when you come back, your car's gone or whatever. So you never know.
Yeah, or they forget the fries, and you got to get even with somebody. You don't want to have the gun.
Well,
Yeah, that makes sense.
you got some
What I
anger.
also want to
You
talk
got some
about
anger
is-
management things you got to deal with.
Adam, you had mentioned
No.
you had mentioned your original
ahead.
scenario. It seemed like personal safety and self-defense in the house.
Yeah.
When I was working in home care, they actually had a former police officer who was at that time personal security specialist, and he had to talk to. They had the person hired to talk to all the staff doing home care because they were concerned about safety, everybody's well-being, and he was explaining from his perspective. He had said whether it's your personal safety on the road doing home care or whether it's in your own home with your family, he said there's only one weapon, according to his opinion, which is the only weapon that cannot be turned to kill your family member or physically seriously harm
Your fist.
your family member. Now he said it was
cucumber.
it was pepper spray. He said because anything else you have, bat, crowbar, knife, gun, they can take that and harm you or your family member with it. But pepper spray, if they do, it'll be painful and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But
Nothing permanent.
Nothing permanent. Right? There'll be no
there's
permanent
argue-
injury.
You can argue it's more effective too.
And so
but,
I thought that was a pretty interesting, perspective that he shared. And one other
Yeah.
thing that I think we haven't talked about, if we're talking about the topic of guns, when I was a student, I actually did one of my clinical rotations out in an area of Pennsylvania, which is very different than the area of Jersey where I grew up. And what I was exposed to was a whole different world and culture where there, hunting, guns, and rifles was so common. In fact, one of the most popular game shows there was this like archer kind of, they had like these cardboard deers going through these obstacles, and it was a game show, and it was really popular in that area. And so I realized, this is part of their culture.
Sure.
In different areas of the country, the grandpa, the dad taking the son, passing things
Hey,
along,
this is
having this
most
experiencing.
areas of the country.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think,
and that's-
Not
not
New
to
Jersey.
get political,
Yeah.
to get political, but you can do a red blue overlay, and it's most of the red areas.
Yeah, and it's just their way of life and their subculture, and and I think even though it may not be my family's pastime of what we do, I think recognizing that others may have different traditions in their family and recognizing that and respecting that is important when people discuss guns, right? And understand that
Yeah, it's
people have
much
views.
different.
Yeah.
Especially we just
Look,
came from the
when I got
south. It's
my
very
flannel
obvious
on,
over there.
These are my people, right? And you can say whatever you want about Second Amendment, but I think what we first talked about, having a small firearm in your house for self-protection, based on the Constitution, I find it very hard for anybody to really argue against it. Against that right. I think where it gets interesting is, okay, well, then what about a bigger gun? What about semi-automatic, full automatic? What about, rocket launchers? What about Black Hawk helicopters? What if I want my own missile silo? What if I want my own nuke? Just a tactical nuke, not a big one. Where do you draw the line?
That's for a
originally,
different
the way that-
episode.
Yeah,
Adam.
we're,
It is. That's just a teaser for next week.
So,
Yeah.
but wait, real quick, so that we wrap this up, Adam, for next week, or just to answer the one question I never asked, why did you initially ask? Are you looking to purchase one?
No, I don't like guns.
Okay. I was just wondering
my
why you initially asked, and that answer's even more hilarious.
If you're looking to just to change the topic of finances, I'm 100% with you, bro.
all right. I think that's it for today. Thanks for listening. Don't forget, like and subscribe, Addict Static Pod on social media. And someone's telling me that I'm supposed to say you should rate us also. So do that. Thanks, everybody.
Why do you want them to rape us?